This summer we had our first grounding of the TBM due to a maintenance issue. We had loaded up for a big trip, and I was doing my pre-flight, looked into the intake up front, and noticed something a little bit off with the seal or bumper on the inertial separator. It was showing some fraying on the side and looked like it was a little bit loose. So I called my maintenance folks, and they helped me walk through a few troubleshooting steps. We were a little worried it might get ingested into the engine if it came loose, so I got a local mechanic friend to help me out by using a razor blade to cut off the excess piece of seal. The mechanic said if we did that, we could go ahead and do our trip. So we got that taken care of, and we lifted up the door a little bit and saw that the backing plate for that strip was kind of messed up. At that point, I decided to scrub the trip. We had already been sitting on the ramp for a while trying to figure this out, and it just wasn't going in the right direction. A few days later, we had another trip, so we went back out to the aircraft to take another look. This time we took my phone with a selfie stick and were able to get good footage up close of the problem. We noticed that 2 rivets were broken, and that was a bit worrisome as they might come loose and go into the engine. So at this point we decided to ground the aircraft and have the maintenance folks drive up, take the stuff apart, and get it repaired. Unfortunately, this part, the inertial separator, almost never fails, and certainly not in this manner, so there were no parts locally in the US. They ordered a new door from France, and we waited a couple of days for that to come in. When it did come in, they hooked it up, and everything looked fine, but when they moved to the mechanism by hand, they saw it was binding. Digging in a little more, they found a bushing that was really torn up, and they worried there was more issues that they had not yet uncovered. So they talked to the factory, and the factory agreed to send me a brand new inertial separator assembly, the whole thing, from one of the new planes off the factory floor. That took a few days to get to us because it had to go through customs, and so it sat in Houston for, I think, 3 days. Once that came in, they came back up to Austin and installed the whole assembly. They tested it, buttoned it up, and let me know the airplane was good to go again. Unfortunately, for our next vacation, when we tried to use the inertial separator, it moved and then froze. This caused an inertial separator fail CAS message, crew alert system message on the panel. After digging into this a little bit more, we realized it was basically stuck in the deployed position. This meant the airplane was still flyable, but it wouldn't be able to produce full power due to not getting enough airflow. So we had to fly the next trip at maybe 20% reduced power. Luckily, this trip had us going by Fort Lauderdale, and so we flew into Pompano, and they took care of the issue for us. The fix ended up being installing the original motor from my old assembly back into this new assembly. After that, everything was working well, and we were back in the air with full power. After all this happened, Socata put out a call to all owners to get a video of their inertial separator doors and how they move on the ground. So far, what I've heard is nobody else has discovered any issues, but they're on the lookout. Unfortunately, we have no idea why mine failed. We may never know, but I can tell you I'm much better at pre-flighting that part of the airplane now.